Your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. The mind is a bundle of thoughts. The thoughts arise because there is the thinker. The thinker is the ego. The ego, if sought, will automatically vanish. The greatest help we can render the world is our own self-realization. Happiness is your nature. It is not wrong to desire it. What is wrong is seeking it outside when it is inside. Your duty is to be and not to be this or that. The degree of freedom from unwanted thoughts and the degree of concentration on a single thought are the measures to gauge spiritual progress. The only way to be rid of the mind is to realize it is non-existent. The mind is a bundle of thoughts. The thoughts arise because there is the thinker. The thinker is the ego. The ego, if sought, will automatically vanish. You are not the body, you are not the mind. Find out who you really are. Silence is ever speaking. It is the perennial flow of the water of life. Mind is consciousness, which has put on limitations. You are originally unlimited and perfect. Later, you take on limitations and become the mind. The mind turned inwards is the self. Turned outwards, it becomes the ego in all the world. The only way to overcome delusion is to turn within and realize the true self. The ego is a ghost, a reflection of the self in the body. It is not real. Recognize its unreality, and it will vanish. Your own self-realization is the greatest blessing you can bestow upon the world. The mind is a wonderful servant but a terrible master. Train it well. Realize that your own self is the reality of the world. The world has no independent existence outside of your own mind. Be still. It is in stillness that you will know your true nature. The mind is like a mirror, it gathers dust. Cleanse it and it will reflect the divine. The ultimate truth is beyond words and thoughts. It can only be realized in silence. Your own self-realization is the greatest pilgrimage. The mind is the root cause of all bondage and liberation. Attend to the mind diligently. The present moment is the doorway to liberation. Be fully present here and now. Truth is not something to be gained anew. It is already here, waiting to be discovered. Abide as the silent witness of all thoughts and emotions. You are beyond them. The spiritual heart is the center of pure consciousness. Dive deep within and discover its infinite depths. The ego creates the illusion of separateness. Realize your unity with all beings in the world. The ego is like a ghost that doesn't exist. See through its illusion and be free. The one who is aware of the mind is not the mind. The one who is aware of the ego is not the ego. You are the pure awareness, beyond all mental constructs. The world is like a snake. It appears to be real until the truth is known. Once the truth is realized, its appearance as a snake ceases. The world is nothing more than a projection of the mind. When the mind is still, the world disappears. Realization is not about acquiring anything new. It is simply the removal of all that is false and illusory. Your true nature is pure consciousness, unchanging and eternal. Rest in that awareness and be free. The only way to attain true happiness is to realize the self, which is beyond the mind and its fluctuations. There is no need to search for the self. Be still and it will reveal itself to you. The mind may go astray, but you are always the eternal witness, untouched by the play of thoughts. The self is not something to be achieved. You are already the self. It is simply a matter of recognizing this truth. All spiritual practices ultimately lead to the realization that there is nothing to attain, nowhere to go, and nothing to become. The true guru is within. He is the self. Seek guidance from the inner guru and abide in the silence of your own being. Do not think that realization will come in the future. It is always here and now. Realize it and be free. Surrender all worries, desires, and attachments to the divine will. Trust in the higher power that guides and sustains everything. True meditation is abiding as the unchanging awareness. It is not limited to a particular posture or technique. The source of all suffering is the identification with the ego. Let go of this identification and discover the peace that is inherent in your true nature. Silence is the language of the self. Be still and let the silence reveal the truth within you. Enquiring within, "Who am I?" is the most effective means of realizing the self. The ego is like a cloud that covers the sun. Remove the cloud of ego, and the radiance of the self will shine forth. The mind creates the illusion of duality and separation. Realize the unity that underlies all apparent diversity. The path of self-inquiry is like diving deep into the ocean to find the priceless pearl of the self. When you realize the truth of your own being, you will see that you are not separate from the divine. Happiness is not something that comes and goes. It is your true nature. Abide in that natural state of joy. Attachment to thoughts and desires keeps you trapped in suffering. Let go and find freedom in the present moment. The greatest prayer is the silent prayer of the heart. Offer yourself fully to the divine presence within. The mind is like a bird that flies from one branch to another. Rest in the stillness of the self and let the mind settle. The true guru is not a person, it is the inner self, the guiding light of consciousness. You are not separate from the divine. Recognize your essential oneness and live from that understanding. Surrender your individual will to the divine will. Trust in the wisdom of the universe and let life unfold naturally. Thoughts arise and pass away, but you, the pure awareness, remain untouched by them. The ego thrives on identification with thoughts and emotions. Release this identification and discover your true nature. The mind creates the illusion of time and space. Realize that you are beyond these concepts and abide in the eternal now. Self-realization is not a distant goal. It is the ever-present reality. Awaken to it and live in freedom. Love is the natural expression of the awakened heart. Radiate love and compassion to all beings.